Hello and welcome to my solo 401k financials weekly webinar. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to wait for the viewers to log in and then we'll get started right away. So there I see the viewers that have logged in. Thank you so much for joining. So again, thank you for joining my solo 401k financials weekly webinar. Today we're going to be discussing how to open a Coinbase account for your self-directed solo 401k. So as always, please ask questions in the chat and we will go through your questions as we go through the slides. If you're watching on a recording, you can ask questions in the comments and we will respond to those generally within 24 business hours. If you're watching a recording as well, you would be able to log in, or you'll be able to skip ahead to different sections of the webinar by simply expanding the description in YouTube. There will be chapter links. Okay, so let's get started. So this page right here gives us a nice overview of the topics that we're going to discuss. So we're going to be going through an A to Z guide of how to open a self-directed solo 401k account at Coinbase. So we're going to talk about what is cryptocurrency, taxation considerations, how to invest or buy funds in a solo 401k, which would include establishing a solo 401k, funding a solo 401k account, specifically how to complete Coinbase's online application, and then other practical issues like purchase, storage of cryptocurrency, and other practical tidbits. So starting out with the foundation, what is cryptocurrency? Per IRS Revenue Ruling 2019-24, it's a virtual currency. Typical currencies or popular cryptocurrencies include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. The IRS considers cryptocurrency to be property for federal tax purposes. And so that has different implications. Outside of a retirement account, that means that any gains or income is going to be taxed at the capital gains tax rates, whether short-term or long-term. Inside of a retirement account, just like any gains generally inside of a retirement account, those are tax deferred. So it's not going to be any different just because the asset is cryptocurrency. And you even have the potential for tax-free growth if you're investing inside of a Roth solo 401k. Now, one possible exception would be if you're investing in mining cryptocurrency, as this may be considered an active trader business and therefore may be subject the solo 401k to have to pay unrelated business income tax. In terms of the steps, this slide here gives a nice visual of the steps. So step one would be qualifying for a solo 401k. And we'll go through these steps in a little bit more detail in the following slides. Then adopting a solo 401k, opening a bank account for your solo 401k, funding that account, which you can do by transferring money from a pre-existing retirement account like a former employer plan or non-Roth IRA. You could also make contributions to the plan based on your self-employment income. And then finally, step 5, purchasing Bitcoin inside of your solo 401k or other cryptocurrencies. So as far as breaking down the steps a little bit more in detail, step 1, again, to qualify for a solo 401k, you need to be self-employed. So you could be self-employed as an independent contractor, a sole proprietor. You may have organized an entity, which may be just a single member LLC, or it could be an S Corp or an LLC taxed as an S Corp. So ultimately what's important is that you are self-employed, reporting earned self-employment income on your taxes, such as on Schedule C in the event of a sole proprietor, or W-2 wages if your business is taxed as an S corporation, and that there are no non-owner full-time W-2 employees working for any business that you own or any business owned by a spouse, if any. Your business would then adopt the solo 401k plan, step 2. Of course, it needs to be a plan like our plan, which allows for investing in alternative investments such as cryptocurrency. And of course, you're going to want to work with a provider like us that has experience helping other clients do the same thing, i.e. invest in cryptocurrency. You'll then need to have an account in the name and under the EIN number of your plan. As we'll see in some of the subsequent slides, it's important to have a bank account. So of course, this is not going to be your business bank account. This will be a separate account under the name and tax identification number of the plan. And of course, we obtain the tax identification number specifically for your solo 401k as part of our establishment services. You'll then fund that solo 401k account, which you can do through multiple means. Number one, you could be making contributions to the 401k based off the contribution rules. So that's going to be based off of your earned self-employment income, your age, etc. You could also, or alternatively, you could transfer funds to the solo 401k. So if you have money in a former employer plan, you'd be able to roll those funds over, and we would handle the transfer process as part of our service. You could also transfer funds from a non-Roth IRA. You can't transfer funds from a Roth IRA to any type of 401k, including a solo 401k, because of the Roth IRA rules. So once you've funded that solo 401k account, you would then proceed to buy cryptocurrency. Now, typically you'll need to buy it on an exchange. And of course, this webinar here, we're focused on opening up an account for your solo 401k at Coinbase, but you could do it through other exchanges. So you would then transfer the funds from the solo 401k bank account to the account at the cryptocurrency exchange that would have been opened up under the name and EIN number of the solo 401k. And then you could proceed to purchase and invest in cryptocurrency. So please, again, thank you for taking time to watch or join this webinar. Please like or subscribe, and please ask questions, as we'll be happy to answer these questions as we go through the slides. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. This slide here is a great slide as it highlights a couple of the important tidbits which we touched on in the prior slides, right? Number one, using that EIN for the solo 401k. So you're going to use the EIN to open up the bank account. You're going to use the EIN to open up the account at the cryptocurrency exchange. You're not going to want to use your social security number or your business tax ID number, because to the extent that there's any type of tax reporting that's done with respect to that account, that tax reporting is going to be conducted with respect to the EIN number. And when we obtain the EIN number for our clients' plans, we do so through the IRS portal and let the IRS know that this EIN is associated with the 401k. So the IRS understands that any gains are going to be tax deferred. You would open the account at the exchange, the account at the bank, in the name of the solo 401k as well. If you're storing the cryptocurrency in a physical wallet, it would need to be a separate physical wallet. In other words, you wouldn't use the same physical wallet that you might be using to store cryptocurrency that you purchase with non-retirement money. So you don't want to combine or commingle with your personal funds. Okay, great. And please, again, don't hesitate to ask questions. Now we're going to turn to the portion of the presentation where we go through the Coinbase application in detail. So in setting up an account for your solo 401k at Coinbase, you'll be setting up an institutional account. And we have the URL here of the Coinbase page where you can do so. So this is what the screen looks like, just so you know that you're in the right place. So let's go through the screens as well as the pages of the application. So the first question is asking whether it's asking for the legal entity name. Here you're going to enter the name of your solo 401k. You're going to select the United States. You're going to enter the state of the solo 401k address, which is typically your state, and skip the field that's asking for other business name. That doesn't apply. Going down the page, the screen also asks for the place of business operations. Here again, you would choose the United States. You would enter the state of the solo 401k address, which is typically your state. For type of business, you're going to select personal investment account. For global number of employees, select 1 to 10. Skip the company website, which is optional and wouldn't apply to your solo 401k. For business description, enter "This is a solo 401k investment account for investing my own retirement funds in different assets, including cryptocurrencies." And finally, for the funds under asset management, you would typically select 0 to 5 million, of course, unless you're intending to invest more than $5 million. You would then click next. The process is then going to ask you what type of product you're interested in. So you would choose Coinbase Pro. That's what most of our clients typically choose. You would then click next. The next part of the application is asking about the product features. So here you would select exchange trading. You would then go on to choose the option for monthly trading volume 0 to 100,000, whatever it is that you might expect or applicable if it's a higher volume. For the question asking how you plan on using the products, a good answer is going to be the sole purpose of opening this account is to invest my own retirement funds in cryptocurrencies. Then click next. You will then be prompted to enter contact information. So here you would enter your name, email address, and phone number. You would enter trustee as your title, since you are the trustee of the plan. If you would like to, you can enter your LinkedIn profile and other social media contact information, and then you'll be able to click submit. And at that point, you would receive an email from Coinbase, typically within a few business days, giving you a link to proceed with their onboarding registration process. So they have an onboarding portal where you'll be able to access that portal using the invite code that's in the communication. So from that email, you'll be able to link and enter for legal entity name, you would enter again the solo 401k plan name, the invite code, and then click register, where you'll be able to access the account application center and access the onboarding application. So now we'll proceed to take a look at that application. So again, you're asked to enter the legal entity name, where you're going to want to enter the name of the solo 401k. Other trade names or DBAs does not apply to a solo 401k. For place of business operations, enter your address. For date of incorporation or formation, here you would want to pull up your adoption agreement, page 2, at least for our clients, and enter the original effective date of the solo 401k. For country of incorporation, you're going to choose United States. For state of incorporation, again, you're going to choose the state of the solo 401k address, which is typically your state. For legal entity type, you would choose trust. For industry, you would choose financial services, non-crypto. For business type, you would select personal investment company. Moving through the application, you're now asked questions about the Coinbase products. So here you would choose Trading Pro. You would then select for what is the purpose of the account, proprietary, trading, or investing. Then when it's asking about the source of funds, you would select private investors. And I see that we've got a question. Thank you so much for asking that good question. We'll get through a few of these slides and then we'll turn to your good question. Now, for other business information, you would skip again the field prompting you to enter your website. For the question asking for a detailed description of your business, a good answer would be, this is a solo 401k investment account for investing my own retirement funds in different assets, including cryptocurrencies. For fund assets under management, most would choose 0 to $5 million unless you intend to invest more than $5 million. You're then prompted to answer questions about the trading account, where you'll be asked to enter trading volume. So here you would choose your expected monthly trading volume, which is typically going to be 0 to 100,000 unless a higher amount is anticipated. You would enter your email address on that same page, and then moving down, you'll have an opportunity to enter the tax ID number. So here you would want to enter the EIN of the solo 401k. You would then be prompted to upload a W-9. So in a subsequent slide, we have more information about how to complete a W-9. You will also be prompted to upload the trust agreement and adoption agreement for the solo 401k. Now, the next part of the application asks about certain activity that you may be conducting. For most clients, the answer is going to be no for both questions. So one is about activity that you might be conducting with individuals or entities in certain countries. And then the next question asks specifically about certain activities that you might be conducting through your business. So most clients would enter no. You'll then be prompted to submit information regarding the trustee. So remember, that's you, and upload your government ID. Coinbase will then email you when your application has been processed. So here we have a page talking about how to complete a W-9. So in field 1, you would enter the name of your solo 401k. So for example, it might be called Go Chargers Trust. You would then enter the exemptions code 1. You would choose other and enter retirement trust as the type. Enter the address, the city and state. For tax identification number, you want to choose the second option, employer identification number, and enter the EIN for the solo 401k. You would then sign as the trustee and make sure to date the form and then upload it per the link on the onboarding application. So before we turn to funding the account and processing times, let's turn to this good question. Thank you so much. So as far as the bank account, so we're talking about a separate bank account. So there's ultimately going to be 2 accounts. There's going to be an account at the exchange at Coinbase, and then there's going to be an account opened up at a bank. For example, this could be, the bank of your choice, such as a big national bank like Bank of America or Wells, or it could be a local bank or even a credit union. It just needs to be in a bank account that's opened up under the name and tax identification number of the plan. So when you go to fund the account at Coinbase, as you'll see on this slide, the cryptocurrency exchanges, including Coinbase, requires that the funding account, the name on the funding account, matches the name on the account at the exchange. So for that, that's part of the reason you need that bank account. So you would put the money first into the bank account, whether you're rolling it over or you're making a contribution, and then you would transfer it from the solo 401k bank account to the account at the exchange. So good question. Thank you for that question. Please don't hesitate to ask more questions. So there's some more detail on Coinbase generally. Yes, they do support sub-accounts. So sub-accounts would come up in a situation, for example, where you have multiple people participating in the solo 401k. Let's say you have a husband and wife who are both realtors, they have their own business, they have one plan, and they're both participating. So they're not pooling their money together in one single account, but they each have separate sub-accounts. So if they both want to invest their funds or some of their funds in cryptocurrency at Coinbase, then they would each need a separate account. So one account in the name of the plan and the EIN of the plan for the benefit of the husband, a second account in the name of the plan for the benefit of the wife. And then the husband would transfer funds from his sub-account at the bank to the account at the exchange. And likewise, the wife would transfer funds from her sub-account at the bank to the account at the Coinbase exchange. So generally, of course, when you're choosing a cryptocurrency exchange, you need to be able to choose one that will allow the account to be funded with fiat dollars. So that would be, for example, US dollars. So, and again, the name has to match. So we talk about that here. The processing time is typically 2 weeks historically. Currently, at the time of this recording of this video, the processing time has definitely gone up just because of the tremendous interest in cryptocurrency. So you'll definitely want to give yourself plenty of time to get that account set up, and just knowing that those processing times have gone up. The expectation, of course, is that they will be able to work through that uptick and bring the processing time back down to what it previously was. So please, again, don't hesitate to ask questions. We have more practical tips on this slide. So again, and we've talked about this, but it is quite important that the name and EIN of the plan needs to be used to open the account at the exchange. The account at the exchange needs to be opened under those with that information. And it goes back to tax reporting. That's a practical reason why. Because a lot of these exchanges are reporting activity to the IRS, you want to be sure that if the exchange is going to do that, it's going to do that under the EIN of the plan. Otherwise, if you were to have the account opened up, say, under your social security number, and then the exchange were to do reporting with respect to your social security number, now the IRS is going to believe that you are investing in cryptocurrency in your own name. And then if you're not reporting that in your taxes, that could spark an inquiry, questions, etc. Separate accounts for multiple participants. We talked about the husband and wife situation. You could also have a multiple participant separate account situation if you got multiple types of funds in your plan. So if you have both pre-tax and Roth funds in your solo 401k, which our plan allows, and you want to invest both types of funds in cryptocurrency, you would need separate accounts at the exchange, separate bank accounts, and you would fund the pre-tax account at the exchange from your pre-tax sub account. You would fund the Roth account at the exchange from your Roth account, etc. The other issue is just the importance of funding it from an external account at a bank in the name of the plan, separate transfers, again, if there's going to be separate accounts. And then lastly, we touch on private transactions. So that's that would be outside the context of Coinbase. So it is possible. You just want to, so a private transaction would be where if you're purchasing cryptocurrency, not through an exchange, but in a transaction outside of an exchange, it is, you can do that provided that the seller or the buyer, whoever's on the other side of that transaction from your solo 401k, is not a disqualified person. So for example, it's not you, it's not a spouse, it's not a lineal ancestor or a lineal descendant, like a parent or a child, just to ensure that you don't commit a prohibited transaction. And then in addition to that, you want to make sure that any type of private transaction is not tied to a transaction involving non-retirement funds. So of course, you're not going to pool the transaction or somehow tie it or make it contingent on each other or one another, as between transactions involving your solo 401k and transactions involving non-retirement funds. So that takes us to the end of our slides. We do have more time, so please don't hesitate if you have more questions. If anyone who's watching right now, or if you're watching as a recording, you can ask questions in the comments. You can also email us at business@mysolo401k.net. You can call us at 1-800-489-7571. And we definitely appreciate everyone's participation and watching this video. Again, please like the video. Please subscribe for more videos like this. And I don't see any more questions. So thanks again, everyone. Take care.